You've been lied to your entire life about the greatness of European civilization. They showed you the gold, the marble, the crystal chandeliers that blind the eyes. They walked you through halls of mirrors and ballrooms that could swallow cathedrals. They told you stories of enlightened monarchs and brilliant architects who built monuments to human achievement, but they never told you about the shit. Scratch the gold surface of any European palace, Versailles Peterhof, Schönbrunn, the Winter Palace, and an uncomfortable, stinking truth emerges. These architectural masterpieces, these supposed pinnacles of human civilization, lacked one tiny detail that even the poorest medieval hovel possessed: toilets. Not primitive toilets, not inadequate toilets, no toilets. The Palace of Versailles, with its 2,300 rooms and 67,000 square meters of floor space, had 0 bathrooms when Louis XIV moved in. The Hall of Mirrors, that symbol of French grandeur, where 357 mirrors reflect infinite opulence, reeked of urine. Aristocrats urinated behind curtains, defecated in corners, and threw chamber pots out windows onto the gardens below. The Winter Palace in St. Petersburg, 1,057 rooms, 1,786 doors, 1,945 windows. Original toilets? 0. Peterhof, Russia's answer to Versailles. Dozens of rooms of pure imperial luxury. Bathrooms in the original design? None. But wait, you're thinking. Quote 1. Then explain the fountains. Peterhof's Grand Cascade features 64 fountains and 255 bronze sculptures. The Samson Fountain shoots water 21 meters into the air, the height of a 7-story building, not with electric pumps, not with modern technology, with gravity-fed water transported over 20 kilometers from the Ropshaw Heights through an elaborate system of underground pipes, reservoirs, and pressure regulators. Versailles boasts 1,400 fountains spread across 800 hectares. The fountain system required such sophisticated engineering that it employed 15% of France's entire bronze production just for the pipes. Do you understand what I'm telling you? These palaces possessed hydraulic engineering capable of transporting water across dozens of kilometers, maintaining precise pressure gradients, creating fountain jets reaching 20-plus meters, operating hundreds of synchronized water features, managing reservoir systems with millimeter-perfect calculations, but installing a ceramic pipe to drain human waste? Impossible. Too difficult. Beyond their capabilities. How can a civilization that builds fountain systems requiring advanced knowledge of hydraulics, pressure dynamics, gravitational physics, and materials engineering forget to install a simple toilet? This isn't a design oversight. This isn't cultural preference. This isn't quote 2. This is impossible. So you cannot possess the engineering knowledge to calculate water pressure over 20 kilometers and simultaneously lack the ability to install basic drainage. It's like finding someone who can perform brain surgery but doesn't know how to use a bandage. There's only one explanation that makes sense. The people who built these palaces and the people who lived in them were not the same. The fountains still work because they're simple enough to maintain, add water, gravity does the rest. The toilets don't work because they're buried 3 meters underground in floors that were flooded, covered, and forgotten. We are not the descendants of the builders, we are the settlers who moved into their ruins, and everything you've been taught about history is designed to hide that uncomfortable truth. Let's talk about what they don't want you to calculate. The most interesting part is just beginning. Write in the comments what city you're from, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe. The tension is rising. Who's watching us from where? Drop a like and subscribe to the channel. There's more to come. Mark yourselves in the comments. Which country are you from? Hit that like button and subscribe. The plot thickens. Let's check our geography. Right where you are right now, smash that thumbs up and subscribe. We're just warming up. Tell us, where are you watching from? Support the video with a like and hit that subscribe button. The climax is near. Share what corner of the world you're in right now. Drop a like and make sure to subscribe. Things are developing rapidly. Write your city in the chat. Slam that like and hit subscribe so you don't get lost. All the juiciest stuff is ahead. Let's get acquainted. Who's from where? Hit like and subscribe right now. The intrigue is building. Right where you're watching this episode from, and reward us with a like and subscription. Emotions are off the charts. Quickly write what city you're from. Drop a fat like and subscribe to the channel. Building a gravity-fed fountain system isn't like connecting a garden hose. It's one of the most complex engineering challenges in hydraulics. Every meter of elevation loss, every bend in the pipe, every junction point affects pressure. Get the gradient wrong by a single degree over kilometers, and your fountain becomes a dribble. Get the pipe diameter wrong, and friction loss kills your pressure before water reaches the palace. The Peterhof fountain system is a masterpiece that would challenge modern civil engineers. Water originates at Ropshaw Heights, 22 kilometers away. It must maintain enough pressure after that journey to shoot 21 meters vertically from the Samson fountain. The engineering requirements are staggering. The pipeline gradient must be calculated to millimeter precision across 22,000 meters of distance. A 0.1% error compounds over that distance into complete system failure. The pipes themselves are cast iron, manufactured with internal smoothness that minimizes friction loss. Modern restoration work reveals flanges and joints that match contemporary industrial standards. These aren't crude, hammered metal tubes, they're precision-manufactured pressure vessels. The valve systems and pressure regulators distributed throughout the network require understanding of fluid dynamics that wasn't _3 until the 19th century. Yet somehow, 18th century workers installed them perfectly. Now here's the question that demolishes the official narrative. If you possess the mathematical sophistication to calculate pressure loss over 22 kilometers, why can't you figure out how to drain a toilet? A toilet requires a ceramic pipe sloping downward. That's it. No pressure calculations, no precision gradients. Gravity does literally all the work. A toilet is to a fountain system what a wooden cart is to a Ferrari. Yet we're expected to believe the same engineers who built the Ferrari couldn't figure out the cart. Schönbrunn Palace in Vienna, the Neptune fountain sits at the base of a hill fed by elaborate hydraulic systems from elevated reservoirs. The Gloriette structure crowns the hill with perfect sightlines and architectural harmony. The water management across this landscape required surveying equipment and calculation precision that rivals modern engineering. Toilets in Schönbrunn? Added in the 19th century as crude afterthoughts. The fountains of La Granja in Spain, 26 monumental fountains fed by mountain reservoirs through 300 kilometers of channels and pipes. The Fame fountain shoots water 47 meters high, 15 stories. Original palace bathrooms? None. Do you see the pattern? This isn't coincidence. This isn't cultural quirk. This is systematic. Across Europe, every major palace demonstrates the same impossible contradiction. God-tier hydraulic engineering for decorative water features, Stone Age waste management for human needs. Versailles employed teams of fountain engineers who understood complex hydraulics. The machine de Marly, built to pump water from the Seine to Versailles, was one of the most complex mechanical systems in Europe, featuring 14 paddle wheels and 221 pumps. But installing drainage pipes? Beyond them, the official story claims these fountain systems were designed and built by the same people who lived in these palaces, that these monarchs commissioned both the fountains and the buildings. If that's true, why does every single palace have sophisticated water delivery but primitive waste removal? Why do the fountain systems show engineering knowledge centuries ahead of their time, while the sanitation shows engineering knowledge centuries behind their time? There's only one answer that fits the evidence. They didn't build the fountain systems, they inherited them. They could maintain them, add water, watch gravity work, but they couldn't understand them well enough to extend the principles to something as simple as a toilet, because the people who built these systems were working from knowledge the settlers no longer possessed. The fountains are the ghosts of a superior civilization. And we're just the caretakers who don't understand what we're maintaining. Let's do the math that historians desperately want you to ignore. Calculation 1. The pipe quality paradox. Cast iron production in the 1700s was primitive by modern standards. Blast furnaces produced inconsistent quality. Casting large objects resulted in air pockets, weak points, and rough interiors. Creating smooth internal surfaces required machining technology that didn't exist. Yet, Peterhof's pipes, when examined during restoration, show perfectly smooth interiors with minimal friction coefficients, uniform wall thickness across meters of length, flange connections with precision-cut threads, material quality that exceeds mid-19th century industrial production. We're talking about kilometers of these pipes, not a few decorative pieces where craftsmen could spend months on perfection, industrial-scale production of precision components. But ceramic toilet pipes, those simple hollow tubes that require no pressure rating, no precision threading, no smooth interiors? Quote 5. The math doesn't work. You cannot mass-produce high-grade cast iron pressure vessels and simultaneously lack the ability to produce basic ceramic drainage pipes. It's technologically backwards. Calculation 2. The waste volume crisis. Let's calculate what nobody wants you to calculate. The Winter Palace housed approximately 1,500 people during peak occupation. The royal family, nobility, servants, guards, administrative staff, average human waste production, 1.2 liters of urine per day, 150 grams of solid waste. Daily palace waste output, liquid, 1,800 liters, 1.8 cubic meters, solid, 225 kilograms. Monthly accumulation, liquid, 54,000 liters, 54 cubic meters, enough to fill a small swimming pool. Solid, 6,750 kilograms, 6.75 metric tons. The official explanation, they used chamber pots and threw waste out windows. Fine, let's map that. The Winter Palace sits on Palace Square. If 1,800 liters of urine and 225 kilograms of feces were deposited around the building's perimeter daily, the surrounding soil should show massive organic contamination in archaeological studies. Soil samples from Palace Square show normal organic content consistent with regular urban development. Where did 54 cubic meters of liquid waste per month go? Where are the 81 metric tons of annual solid waste? It decomposed. It was cleaned. Servants removed it. To where? Show me the historical records of waste removal operations. Show me the designated dump sites. Show me the archaeological evidence of cesspit locations that could handle this volume. They don't exist. The waste disappears into a historical black hole because the official story is a lie. Calculation 3. The construction timeline impossibility. The Winter Palace, as it currently stands, was built between 1754 and 1762, 8 years. Total floor space, 60,000 square meters across 3 stories. That's 7,500 square meters per year, 20.5 square meters per day, every single day, for 8 years straight. But it's not just floor space, it's precisely cut stone blocks, each weighing 200 to 500 kilograms. Granite columns, some weighing 114 tons each, intricate moldings, sculptures, decorative elements, complex roof structures with load-bearing calculations. Let's focus on just one element, the Alexander Column in Palace Square. Weight, 704 tons. Height, 47.5 meters, made from a single piece of red granite. Quarried in Finland, transported 400 kilometers, erected in 1834. Official story. Moved using wooden rollers and 2,000 workers. Let's calculate the logistics. A 704-ton granite monolith on wooden rollers. Friction coefficient of wood on wood, approximately 0.4. Force required to overcome friction, 704,000 kilograms times 0.4 equals 281,600 kilograms force, distributed across 2,000 workers, 140 kilograms of pulling force per person. That's pulling 140 kilograms continuously while walking. Olympic deadlifters pull that much for seconds. These workers supposedly did it for 400 kilometers. The math doesn't work. The human body cannot sustain that output. Either they had machinery we're not told about, or they didn't move it. They found it and re-erected it. Every calculation exposes the same truth. The official timeline is impossible. The official technology is insufficient. The official story is a fabrication. They didn't build these palaces in decades. They excavated them. Stop reading. Go look at photographs of any European palace interior right now. Look with honest eyes. Look at what's actually there, not what you've been told to see. Evidence set. 1. The scale mismatch. The doorways in the Winter Palace average 4.2 meters in height. Standard modern doors, 2 meters. These doors are built for people over twice normal human height. Quote, 10, you'll say. Then why are the door handles positioned at 1.4 meters, face level for someone 2.5 meters tall, but awkwardly high for normal humans? The Hermitage Museum, former Winter Palace rooms, has ceiling heights averaging 5.8 meters. Stand in those rooms and speak at normal volume. Your voice dies. The acoustics are wrong for human conversation. Sound disperses into dead space above. These rooms create acoustic environments suitable for beings with deeper vocal ranges or different auditory systems. The grand staircase features steps with risers of 19 centimeters and treads of 35 centimeters, comfortable for someone with a stride 40% longer than average humans. Walk those stairs. Feel how your gait adjusts unnaturally. Original furniture pieces, the few that survive, show seat heights of 52 to 55 centimeters, modern chairs 45 centimeters. Try sitting comfortably in a chair 20% too tall. Your feet dangle, your posture strains. We are Lilliputians living in Gulliver's abandoned house, insisting we built it for ourselves. Evidence set. 2. The buried first floors walk through St. Petersburg's historic center. Look at the buildings. Actually, look, windows emerging from sidewalk level. Decorative facades half buried in earth. Ornate architectural details disappearing into the ground. The official explanation: the cultural layer. Over centuries, dirt accumulated, raising street levels by 3 to 4 meters. Let's examine that claim. 3 meters of accumulation in 300 years equals 1 centimeter per year. That's the height of your fingernail every year, uniformly, across entire cities, for 3 centuries. Where does this dirt come from? Buildings don't generate soil. Streets don't produce earth. You'd need constant deposition of material. But from where? Quote, 12. Calculate the volume. St. Petersburg's historic center covers approximately 4 square kilometers. A 3-meter layer across that area equals 12 million cubic meters of material. That's 40,000 cubic meters deposited per year, every year, for 300 years. Show me the historical records of this constant massive deposition. Show me the contemporary accounts of streets rising centimeter by centimeter, forcing residents to constantly raise their doorways. They don't exist, because it didn't happen gradually, it happened suddenly. Look at the buried windows. They're not damaged, not broken, not modified. They're intact. Complete windows now underground, with decorative elements, intact glass, and ornamental ironwork. Nobody buries their own windows while living in the building. Nobody watches their first floor disappear into rising dirt and just accepts it. These buildings were buried by a catastrophic flood of mud and sediment. The inhabitants either died or fled. New settlers moved into the upper floors, making windows into doors and pretending this was normal. Evidence set 3. The phantom heating systems. The Winter Palace sits in St. Petersburg, where winter temperatures reach minus 30 degrees Celsius. Total interior volume, approximately 180,000 cubic meters. To heat that volume to livable temperature, 18 degrees Celsius, requires raising the air temperature by 48 degrees. Specific heat of air, 1.005 kilojoules per kilogram Kelvin. Air density, 1.2 kilograms per cubic meter. Energy required, 180,000 cubic meters times 1.2 kilograms per cubic meter times 48 kelvins times 1.005 kilojoules per kilogram. Kelvin equals 10,403,520 kilojoules. That's 10.4 gigajoules per heating cycle. In a building with massive stone walls that bleed heat constantly. The palace's decorative fireplaces, those tiny ornamental features tourists photograph, produce approximately 15,000 kilojoules per hour when burning. You'd need 694 fireplaces burning continuously just to maintain temperature. The palace has 67 decorative fireplaces. The math doesn't work. These fireplaces are decorative elements added after the original heating system failed. What was the original system? Where did it go? Why can't we replicate it? Because we don't understand the technology we inherited. Every measurement, every calculation, every physical detail screams the same truth. We didn't build these structures. We moved into them. And we're living like squatters in buildings whose systems we cannot comprehend. What event could simultaneously bury cities under meters of sediment, kill populations wholesale, and cause survivors to lose all understanding of the technology surrounding them? Stop thinking about gradual change. History isn't a smooth line, it's a series of catastrophic resets. The geological evidence examines soil cores from historic European cities. You'll find a distinct layer at 2.5 to 4 meters depth across Paris, St. Petersburg, Moscow, Rome, Vienna, London. This layer appears at the same depth regardless of local geology, climate, or urban development patterns. It's uniform in composition, fine clay mixed with organic material and building debris. It shows signs of rapid deposition, particle sizes unsorted, materials mixed chaotically, no stratification that would indicate gradual accumulation. Geologists call this a quote 13. It's identical to sediment deposits from catastrophic flooding events. But here's what they won't tell you. This layer appears globally, same depth, same composition, same rapid deposition markers. From North America to Europe to Asia, that's not local flooding, that's not regional disaster. That's a planetary event. The demographic impossibility. Pull up any population graph for European countries. Notice anything strange? From 1700 to 1850, nearly flat. Populations barely grow. Some decades show decline. Then suddenly, starting around 1850, vertical spike. Population doubles, then triples within 50 years. The official explanation, quote, 14. Really? Medicine improved so dramatically that population growth rates increased by 400% in a single generation. Let's examine Russian population data. 1800, approximately 37 million. 1850, approximately 69 million. 1900, approximately 136 million. That's a doubling in 50 years after centuries of stagnation. What changed in 1850? Not medicine. Antibiotics weren't discovered until the 1920s. Not agriculture, mechanization came later. Not living conditions, industrialization made cities more deadly, not less. The only explanation that fits, repopulation after massive die-off. The population wasn't growing, it was recovering, the orphan epidemic. Now we arrive at the most disturbing evidence. The evidence that makes everything click into place. Between 1850 and 1920, millions of orphans appeared across the Western world. The orphan train movement in America, 1854 to 1929. 250,000 plus children transported from East Coast cities to the Midwest. Official story, quote, 250,000 children, with no parents, all appearing within a 75-year window. Foundling hospitals across Europe overflowed. The Moscow orphanage, established 1764, expanded massively in the 1850s to 1860s. By 1870, it housed over 20,000 children simultaneously. St. Petersburg's orphanages, 15,000 plus children by 1880. London's Foundling Hospital, Paris's Hôpital des Enfants Trouvés, orphanages in Vienna, Berlin, Rome, all experiencing the same phenomenon, massive influxes of parentless children. Where did they come from? The official narrative: disease, poverty, industrial accidents killed parents. Then why are there no corresponding records of mass adult deaths? No plague records, no accident reports accounting for hundreds of thousands of parental deaths, no cemetery records showing the burial of these children's parents. The children appeared as if from nowhere. Here's the truth they're hiding. These weren't orphans from dead parents. These were survivors, children who survived the cataclysm that killed the adult population, too young to remember the world before, raised in institutional incubators and given manufactured identities: Smith, Jones, Johnson, Ivanov, Petrov, Muller, generic surnames assigned en masse to children with no family history. Ask yourself, can you trace your family lineage before 1850? Can you name your great-great-great-grandfather? Most people's family memory stops dead at the mid-1800s. We have elaborate genealogies for European royalty going back centuries, but common family trees evaporate before 1850. Because we are the orphans. We are the descendants of survivors given new identities and fake histories. The resolution. The previous civilization built the palaces, complete with working sanitation systems in the ground floors. They built the fountain networks. They engineered the heating systems. Then came the cataclysm, mud flood, plasma event, planetary catastrophe. The exact mechanism doesn't matter. What matters? Cities were buried, lower floors flooded with sediment, populations decimated, survivors, or perhaps an entirely new population, moved into the upper floors of buried buildings. They could see the fountains still worked. Gravity-fed systems are simple to maintain, but the toilets? Those were in the buried floors, connected to drainage systems now filled with hardened clay. They couldn't access the sanitation, couldn't understand the heating, couldn't comprehend the scale or purpose of the architecture, so they lived like savages in paradise, defecating in corners of temples, adding crude fireplaces to buildings designed for different heating technology. We are not the builders, we are the settlers, and everything you've been taught is designed to hide that fact. If this evidence is so obvious, why doesn't everyone know about it? Because someone has been systematically destroying the proof for over 150 years. The library burnings. December 24, 1851. The Library of Congress burns. 35,000 books destroyed, including the entire original collection from 1800. Official cause, quote, 18. September 1814. British troops burn Washington, D.C., targeting the Library of Congress specifically. 3,000 volumes destroyed, the entire congressional collection containing original colonial documents, maps, and technical records. January 2015, Moscow's Indian Library, housing 12 million documents, including rare pre-1850 manuscripts, burns. 5.4 million items destroyed. Official cause, electrical fault. Notice the pattern? Archives containing pre-reset documentation burn with convenient regularity. Technical manuals disappear. Old maps showing different geography vanish. Architectural plans that might reveal original building purposes, gone. But fires happen naturally. Calculate the probability. Major research libraries, specifically those housing pre-1850 documents, experiencing catastrophic fires at rates 15 times higher than modern buildings with inferior fire safety. The odds? Astronomical. These aren't accidents. This is systematic evidence destruction. The World's Fair's demolition. Now we arrive at the most brazen cover-up in modern history. 1893 Chicago World's Fair. The underscore quote, underscore 21 underscore official story. 200 plus monumental neoclassical buildings constructed in 18 months using underscore quote underscore 22 underscore, a mixture of plaster and jute fiber. After the fair closed, all demolished. Look at the photographs. Actually, examine them. These buildings show massive stone foundations extending deep into earth, ornate facades with detail work requiring years of craftsmanship, sophisticated electrical systems with wireless lighting technology, elaborate water features, and hydraulic systems, construction quality superior to modern buildings. The Manufactures and Liberal Arts Building, 787 by 1,687 feet, 31 acres under one roof, built in 18 months. With 1890s technology, let's calculate. 31 acres equals 125,000 square meters of floor space. Construction timeline, 547 days. Required construction rate, 228 square meters per day, every single day, including foundation, walls, roof, interior finishing, and elaborate decorative elements. Modern construction with steel frames, power tools, and industrial equipment averages 50 to 80 square meters per day for basic structures. They supposedly built at 3 to 4 times modern rates using manual labor and primitive equipment. The math is impossible. The truth? These weren't built for the fair. They were excavated, cleaned up, displayed as _quote_23_, then demolished to destroy evidence that we didn't build them. 1904, St. Louis World's Fair, massive neoclassical complex, quote, 24, all demolished within months of closing. 1915, San Francisco Panama Pacific Exposition, elaborate palace city, quote, 25 demolished immediately after. Why destroy them? Quote, 26. Then why the permanent stone construction? Why the advanced electrical systems? Why the architectural sophistication that modern builders cannot replicate? They were destroyed because they proved a technological level inconsistent with official history. They showed architectural achievement we cannot duplicate. They raised the forbidden question: the photographic evidence. Early photography from the 1850s to 1870s reveals something disturbing. Photographs of Paris, Rome, St. Petersburg, Moscow show architecturally complete cities that are empty, streets with no crowds, plazas with no markets, buildings with no visible occupation. The official excuse, quote, 28 technical problem. Exposure times in the 1860s were 5 to 30 seconds. Enough to blur people, yes, but look at the photographs closely. Shadows are sharp. Water in fountains shows no motion blur. Flags on buildings are crisp, not streaked. If exposure times were long enough to completely erase all human presence, these other elements would show motion blur too. They don't. The truth captured in these images: these cities were recently reoccupied. The photographs document the repopulation in progress. Empty streets because there were no people yet. Within 20 years, the same locations are crowded. The population explosion wasn't growth, it was resettlement. Someone doesn't want you to know that our cities were empty in 1850 and full by 1880. Someone doesn't want you asking where everyone came from. Someone burned the books, demolished the evidence, and rewrote history to hide one simple fact: we are living in a graveyard, and the bodies are still warm. Let's review what we've established with evidence you can verify yourself. Advanced hydraulic engineering spanning 22 kilometers, but no basic sanitation. Fountain systems requiring sophisticated pressure calculations, but waste thrown out windows. High-precision cast-iron pipes manufactured by the kilometer, but ceramic toilet pipes _quote_29_ buildings designed with 4.2-meter doorways and handles positioned for 2.5-meter-tall occupants, inhabited by normal-sized humans. First floors uniformly buried 3 to 4 meters underground across every continent. Explained away as, quote, 3,250,000 plus orphans appearing in America alone between 1854 to 1929, with no record of their parents' deaths. Population graphs showing centuries of stagnation followed by vertical 400% spikes starting in 1850. Monumental temporary exhibition buildings constructed at impossible speeds, then immediately demolished. Major archives containing pre-1850 documents burning at statistically impossible rates. Early photographs capturing architecturally complete but empty cities dismissed as long exposure artifacts despite sharp shadows and crisp details. Every single piece of evidence points to the same conclusion: the true timeline. Phase 1. The original civilization. An advanced global culture built cities with integrated technology we now call impossible. Free energy systems harvesting atmospheric electricity. Sophisticated water management including both decorative fountains and functional sanitation. Architecture scaled for their physiology, heating systems embedded in building materials themselves. They weren't primitive, they weren't struggling. They had solved problems we're still wrestling with. Phase 2. The cataclysm, early 1800s. A planetary scale event, mud flood, Plasma discharge, cosmic impact, or technological war devastated this civilization. Cities were buried under meters of sediment within hours or days. The population was decimated, technology was destroyed or rendered inoperable. The survivors were either children too young to understand the old world's technology, or an entirely new population moved into the ruins. Phase 3, the resettlement. 1850 to 1900, new inhabitants moved into the upper floors of buried buildings. They could see fountains still functioned. Gravity-fed systems are simple, but the sanitation systems in the buried floors? Inaccessible. The heating systems? Incomprehensible. The scale of the architecture? Wrong for their bodies. So they lived like primitives in technological temples, chamber pots in palaces, crude fireplaces in buildings designed for different heating, making windows into doors because the real doors were underground. Phase 4, the historical rewrite. 1850 to 1900, the controllers, whoever survived with knowledge intact, fabricated a linear history. They attributed ancient buildings to recent monarchs. They created the cavemen to civilization narrative. They manufactured genealogies for the orphan generation. They burned archives. They demolished excavated ruins displayed at world's fairs. They created textbooks teaching false timelines. Why? Who benefits from this lie? Elite bloodlines who survived the reset with knowledge while keeping the masses ignorant. If you knew that free energy technology existed in the recent past, you'd demand it now. You'd stop paying for oil, gas, electricity. If you knew that superior architectural and engineering knowledge was lost, you'd question why we can't replicate it. You'd ask uncomfortable questions about progress. If you knew that our entire civilization is barely 170 years old, occupying ruins we don't understand, you'd question everything you've been taught about human history, capability, and purpose. They maintain power through controlled scarcity, through the illusion of linear progress, through convincing you that this struggling, polluting, inefficient civilization is the pinnacle of human achievement. The proof is everywhere. You don't need to believe me. Go verify it yourself. Visit any historic European city. Look at the buildings emerging from underground, measure the doorways, stand in the rooms and feel the raw